The AllStar app, the #1 app in the business. UFC, Bellator, One Championship, PFL, and more. Get the app right now. Link in description. All right, Justin. Yeah, man, you've had a pretty damn good 2022. I gotta say, 3 fights, 3 finishes. You should have had 4 fights actually, right? So far, but shit
Yeah.
happens. What's clicked with you this year? What's different about you?
Um, I think like the main thing, if I compare my 2021 to 2022, would be obviously I made the move to freestyle, but the biggest sort of aspect was the way the world was set up, and with with the COVID protocols and stuff like that. Joe and Alex got stuck overseas for a big part of 2021, and then because they obviously got a couple of the boys got COVID, and then obviously they were filming Tough, and there was all sort of stuff like that happening. So for the majority of those first couple fights under freestyle, I didn't even have them with me. So it was kind of, I guess that's sort of been the biggest change this year. Biggest addition is actually, the world's opened up again, and I've actually, things have been a bit more, I guess, normal in that sense. So they've been able to be there for my camps, be there to take me to my fights and corner me and stuff like that. So that makes a difference. And I think to the loss that I sustained towards the end of last year against Rod Costa, like knowing like that's the first time I've ever walked out of the cage with a loss and gone, I just didn't show up like that. That's on me. That loss is on me. Like, I look at some of my other fights. I look at some of the other fights I've taken where maybe the result didn't go my way, and I can go, you know what? I went in there and I did what I did, and I was prepared and I was ready. But I gave it my best sort of crack. But with this fight, I knew I didn't. I walked out of that cage. I walked out the back, and I just was like, man, I'd let myself down here. This is on me. I just didn't do. I just didn't stick to the plan. Didn't do the right things. So I feel like it's a combination of that, and then actually having my coaches there with me and going through these camps, and then obviously just doing the work, staying composed throughout, and staying diligent throughout. The training, the preparation, getting in there, fighting, then looking to test myself again, taking the next challenge, knowing what I'm working towards, and I think that's all just compiled together and created this, I guess, fresh resurgence in my career and led to these results fight to fight and sort of set me up to have this big year that I've had, as you said.
After the Rod Costa fight, you said that you realized that you're the one who's gonna take all the blame for that. You just didn't show up. How hard is that for a fighter, for yourself? Because there's so much ego in this sport. Like you have to have supreme confidence in yourself to go in there and fight another man to submission, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you got to be realistic with yourself across the board, whether you win or lose, right? There's like I can I'm real big on you can still find positives no matter the result. You can look at some things that happened in that fight and you can go, okay, I did this right, but okay, what did I do wrong? I can't just be like, oh, I had an off night. That's all right. I'll be better next time. No, what didn't I do? What led to the result of the fight not going my way? And I almost look at that fight and I look at it and I see it in two parts. I see the first half of the round and of the fight, and I'm like following the game plan, everything's working right, doing the right thing. I'm just sort of staying on course. Then I look at the second half and I started straying away from the plan, got lazy with my distance, got lazy with my hand placement on my exits for when I was throwing my combinations, and that led to me getting caught and getting clipped. So if I just push that aside and go, I just had an off night, I'll be better next time. I'm doing myself a disservice. I got to be realistic with myself, and I think that's across the board. Like even this year, 3 fights, 3 wins, 3 finishes, but I've still got to look at the things in those fights that maybe I can do better. What do I need to improve on? What do I need to keep working on? And then I have the right people around me. I'm not just surrounded by people who are going to tell me what I want to hear. Joe's very thorough in his assessments of what he wants from you and what needs to be worked on and what you need to do better. And don't get me wrong, like he'll tell you, like this, like things that you were doing well, or something that he's happy with and that. But I actually prefer, that other side of things where I'm getting that realistic feedback and getting told, okay, like this was good, but this wasn't. Like we need to fix this, we need to do this, and I think that's why you saw the differences from fight to fight. Like if you look at my first fight this year against Josh Riley, obviously a big first round. Second round I came out. I allowed him to kind of work his way back into the fight and find some success. So I went back to the corner before the third round, and Joe was just realistic with me. He's like, "Come on, like you just switched off that round. You let him get back in. Like we need to go out there. It's like we need to finish. We need to win. We need to put this guy away." And so I went out there, and that's what I was able to do because I had that realistic assessment. He could have been like, it was a close round, but like we might still be up. Okay, let's just go out there and kind of like do our thing. But that wouldn't help me. He's like, we need to go out there and we need to finish this guy. We need to win. And then you look at the fight with Allen again, big first round, second round kind of. He found a bit of success, but I was like, I could hear Joe and Alex sort of telling me, giving me the cues, telling me I need to like just maintain what I'm doing. The game plan's working. Don't get unfocused. Don't be like a deer in headlights and forget your game plan and forget what you need to do. You can't go on autopilot because, like you said, you're fighting another man to make them either quit or put them out in a major way. So you can't lapse, or else you're going to get hurt. And then so then you make those adjustments, and you look at my fight with Muhammad Alavi, and it's probably arguably, I guess, in my opinion, and for a lot of people have said the same thing, it's probably my best performance that I've had inside the cage. And I think that stems from those. Even though I won those other fights, still taking the lessons, getting back to the grind, getting back to the work, and then making those adjustments. So you look at that fight. It was sort of on paper, it was meant to be like a striker versus grappler sort of matchup, and I was able to showcase my rounded ability and find success on the feet. He switched things up, started wrestling, and it's that there is a cue and a read in itself where I'll go, okay, well, this guy's stuck. He's out of ideas because he's trying to wrestle me. And, that's always something that's going to be a big strength that's in my back pocket is my wrestling. So if someone's trying to wrestle me, I know they're lost, they're stuck for ideas. So we were able to adjust. Joe said he's going to come out hard this next round. He's going to try and knock you out very quickly at the start. And then if that doesn't work, he's going to try and wrestle you again. And, lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. He came out through a big head kick. I was able to manage my distance. He started wrestling. And then I heard Joe say, "This is your world. Let's do it. Let's start wrestling. Let's turn the tide." And obviously that led to the finish. And that's probably a testament to that, my ability to trust in my coaches, to have the faith in the people around me, but also the work ethic, the preparation, all that stuff that I have, just maintaining it, not letting even the results sort of the fights stick around for too long. Like, I'll be honest, I haven't really let myself even stop and smell the roses for this year. Obviously I understand it's been a good year for me and it's been a successful year and I've been able to produce some great results, but I haven't kind of let myself even settle and let that soak in. And that probably won't be a thing until I come back from this fight, with that belt, and I can sit there and look at it and reflect on my year and go, okay, here's what we did good, here's the results we got, we achieved the goals we set. Okay, what do we need to improve? What didn't we do good? What do we need to fix? What do we need to sort of improve moving forward so that I could, try and emulate that in 2023?
Yeah, when you go through what you've done this year, you explained it beautifully, like exactly what happened, right? Even the level of talent got better each fight, if you look at
Yeah.
it, right? And the styles got a little bit more tougher, but you overcame, you adjusted, and you finished all the guys, which is very impressive. And now you're leading into this title fight. But before we talk about your opponent coming up, you were supposed to fight for the title.
Yes.
But Jack Jenkins, he got the call to the Contender Series. Khan Offley stepped in. Then you had to pull out. Take us through that whole situation.
Yeah, so basically, once I beat Muhammad Alavi, I knew I was fighting for a title next. And then at that point, Jack was still the current champion, hadn't been signed yet. And then he actually messaged me. Obviously, like now I can speak on this because he's obviously in the UFC now, and we've seen everything that's played out since. But at the time, I couldn't really shed the light on it too much. But he messaged me after the Alavi fight, and this is something I kind of said as well in the lead up to when I was still scheduled to fight Jack. I was like, props to this guy, man, because he accepted the fight with me, potentially putting everything on the line, like his spot being for the Contender Series, all that sort of stuff, like potentially putting that on the line to fight me. So I was like, nothing but respect for the dude in that capacity. And I was like, that's, some big balls doing that. A lot of people would just sit pretty and wait. So he actually messaged me, congratulated me on the result, and then said, like, let's do it. Like let's make the fight happen. So we scheduled it in, and he told me he was realistic and honest though. He did say, his management was telling him that there's still a chance Contender Series might happen. So we'll just sort of play it by ear and go from there. So when he obviously withdrew from the fight because he got signed, it wasn't like I was sitting there going, oh, like I'm surprised or caught off guard. And I was like, okay, congrats, the dude. The dude's earned his, sort of chance and taken that spot now, and he's moving forward. And that's cool. That's what I want to see. Like as much as we're competitors and we want to thrive off each other on the local scene and trying to, we're trying to step on each other to get a step forward. That's just how it's set up. That's how it is. But when you see someone from the regional circuit make that step up to the next level, you can't help but be happy for him. And then obviously, yeah, like you said, Khan Offley stepped in as a teammate of Jack. Um, you know, was having a good camp, and then a week out from the final week of training, before fight week, on the Wednesday, I just sustained an injury to my ribs, and yeah, it was just a weird scenario because it wasn't even like in a position or in a crazy sort of way that you'd think, oh, okay, that makes sense that that's how you got injured. It just sort of happened, but that could fighting, your body takes a beating, so it could have been something that I've had leading up to the fight with Alavi or the fight with Philpott, and I just kind of, you get bit of a niggle here, bit of pain here and there, and you're just kind of like, oh, whatever, man. It's just we're doing hard work. We're preparing for these fights. It's normal for your body to feel a bit sore here and there or whatever, and then you fight, you're straight back into camp because it's not like I had a break, and then yeah. So as much as it sucked and as gutted as I was that I was injured, and for the first time actually having to like pull out of a fight, I was kind of like, yeah, I was obviously disappointed and I was cut up, and then it kind of hit me real hard on the night when I was watching the fights, and knowing that could have been me headlining that historic weekend for Eternal. But these things happen, and we just kind of got to roll with it here and there. So I think obviously pulling out of the fight, taking a step back, letting myself heal, doing the right things, listening to those people around me, that's the right decision, man. Like, because I wouldn't forgive myself stepping in there and then it doesn't go my way, and then I'm sitting there going, well, if you just stopped, healed, let yourself recover, you wouldn't be in the scenario or whatever. Like, you could step in there fully healthy, the best shape you've ever been in, and potentially lose, but at least that there wasn't any other factor that led to that. You'd probably be a lot better. You'd probably be a lot happier dealing with a loss in that sense than you would knowing that you put yourself in there compromised, and didn't give yourself the best opportunity to perform.
Sure, man. And now, that missed opportunity is actually coming back to you in this fight coming up, right? That you got the title fight against Diego. Diego's a guy that's been around the scene for a while. What do you
Yep.
see him as a fighter?
Yeah, obviously, Diego and I have a bit of history. Obviously, he's coming off a win over Alan Philpott which was an exciting fight to watch. Philpott brought the heat from the start. It looked like Diego was in trouble early on. He was able to go back and adjust, and then eventually he capitalized on a mistake that Philpott made and was able to find a finish. So, you know, I know Diego very well. We were for a period of time before I moved to freestyle, we were training at the same gym with teammates. I still consider us friends. Got a lot of respect for the guy in and out of the cage. But he's a dangerous guy, man. Like you said, he's been around, he's experienced, he's been training martial arts for a long time. The dude's, he's well rounded. He's one of those people that's like when he shows up and he's on, man, he's dangerous, and he can do some serious damage. Like you've seen that with some of his fights, and you look at like the Michael Tobin fight, for example, just a flawless performance, caps it off with a head kick finish. So, um, obviously, I gotta give him the respect and the credit that's there. And I know, obviously, we have that extra layer on top of that because we were teammates, we trained together, we grinded together, we were cornered each other for fights. So, better than most of his opponents, I know what I'm sort of getting myself getting myself ready for, and I guess in a sense he does as well. But at the same way, we don't, because I feel like we're vastly different compared to even back then when we were training together. And then you compound that by looking at when we first fought 5 years ago. We're vastly different guys compared to then. We're both matured as fighters. We both matured as men. Like I think it's completely different, and it's not going to be. You can't walk in there and expect that it's going to be the same person stepping in there. With you. That'd be silly. But I'm expecting him to bring it. He's a competitor. he's going to be looking to put me away. I'm going to be looking to put him away, and I feel like that's going to make a potentially, make it an exciting, matchup for people to watch. And it's in the co-main event, so for sure, all eyes are going to be on you. It's on UFC Fight Pass. It's high stakes, high risk, high reward, and that's been my whole year. So I'm thriving off that, and I'm excited for the opportunity to go out there and perform and showcase a new level yet again.
Yeah, it's wild the circumstances, that this fight brings to you because you did fight him, you lost to him, and then you trained with him, you cornered him, he's cornered you. You guys, like you said, you grinded together, and then now you're at separate camps and you're fighting for a title. It's like you're preparing yourself for the highest level, and you're not even there yet, right? Because usually you only see that at the highest level when you're chasing after like the major belts. Do you feel like you have the advantage because you went to another camp and kind of added different components to your skill set and maybe even to your mentality?
Yeah, I think 100%, man. I think like the results in the cage this year speak, and they're a testament to that, man. Like the people I'm surrounded with on the daily, the coaching that I have, the actual bodies that I get to step on the mat with, and the caliber of people that I train with is so high. And it was I feel like a lot of from moving from my previous gym to freestyle, it was like that mentality of, it was like you went from being like a big fish in a small pond, now you're a little fish in a very big new pond with just killers around you, ready to just pounce at any given moment. So it was like it was the most real version of sink or swim that I've ever been, subjected to in my life when I first came to freestyle, and since then, settling in, and where I'm at now, and it just continues, and I feel like I have that benefit of that's going to benefit me 100%, and obviously, the benefit of knowing that I'm a completely different fighter to what I was back then, and even like I said, like I've said this before, like the guy that's sitting here right now would, even like if we look at my fight at the start of the year, if I was to walk into the cage and fight the Justin that stepped into the cage in the start of the year, I'd run through him in a minute. Like it wouldn't even be close. It's like, and that's just because I'm doing the work. I'm trusting in the process that's there, and listening to the people around me, and just soaking it all in. And obviously that's going to give you the confidence to go out there and perform. But yeah, I'd have to say I feel like I have an advantage coming into this fight because uh, at least from what I've seen so far, like I think he's still under the impression that he's, stepping into the cage with the same guy that he fought 5 years ago, and that's that's just not realistic at this point. And I said it after my last fight, like, you got to, if you doubt me and you consider me to be still be like a one dimensional guy who's just a wrestler that's coming to MMA with no other assets, no other tools or anything like that, you got to get in here with me, and if you give me a chance, give me an opening, like you're going to get put away. So you know, I guess that's something that's going to play out on the night, and we won't really know until we're under the bright lights and we're standing across from each other, and the fight actually starts, and we see it play out and see what the storyline is and how it develops. But yeah, 100%. I'm confident in my preparation. I'm confident in my ability, and I'm just excited at the prospect of doing it all for all the chocolates, as they'd say. We're fighting for probably the most valuable belt in Australian MMA right now. If you hold that title, it's going to open doors for you. So if I go out there, secure another win, another finish, that's 4 fights, 4 finishes against increasingly, like back to back, plus an Australian title. I'm all about making myself undeniable. It's going to be pretty hard to sort of deny me as being the number one featherweight in the country and the next most deserving person to make that step up to the big leagues, because I feel like I've earned it. I've worked for it. I've taken the fights that no one else wants to fight, and I'm putting it out there. I'm risking it all.
Do you see another submission? Four in a row, man, in 1 year. That's pretty incredible.
Look, I mean, it'd be cool. It'd be super cool to get another submission, like you said. If I get a fourth submission in like 4 submissions inside 10 months, that's going to be that'd be absolutely mental. So, I'd relish in that. But in saying that, like that's not my only sort of path to victory that I consider, or thing that I'm looking for. I'm ready to capitalize wherever it goes, whether it's on the feet, whether it's in the grappling, wherever, whatever I need to do. Like I said, eventually, if there's that one mistake, I'm gonna find a way to capitalize on it, and it's gonna be a wrap. But 100%, like if if it plays out that way and there's an opportunity to get a submission, I'm gonna try and get a submission.
December 2nd, man. Eternal MMA 72. Vacant featherweight title is on the line. Justin, you've had an incredible year, and you could top it off with the title, man. Thank you so much for the time. All the best.
Thank you.